Back to Hope70. Let's talk. Today I've got Brandon with me on my podcast this morning. You're a very, very busy man, but graciously enough to take some time to answer some questions I have. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, happy.
So my very first question to you is, what upcoming projects are coming to town of Indian Head?
Yeah, so Indian Head is kind of, morphing right now. A lot of good things that have happened over the last few years, like, Oasis Fresh Food Markets, the mural, Papaleo's Ice Cream,
Nice.
which is my personal favorite. Get the apple pie sundae.
Can't hit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Businesses, new job opportunities with the base and its growth. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of Navy contractors kind of locating in the area.
Okay.
Hundreds of new jobs kind of located around what the base is doing, which is really exciting. We have the splash pad that's currently out for bid. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, so
you caught me off guard with that one.
Yeah, so the splash pad is La Plata has a splash pad near their town hall.
Yeah.
We're adding one onto the Village Green.
Oh, nice.
So it's out for bid right now, so kids can have a nice cool summer. It's been a project that's kind of a long time in the making.
Yeah.
And happy that we finally have the project out for bid.
Absolutely.
So that'll be good. Adding 26 spaces down to the boardwalk parking lot,
Nice.
which is really needed. Yeah. I knew when we cut the ribbon on the boardwalk that we were going to need more parking. So happy to finally get that project. That one's out for bid as well. And then lots of infrastructure improvements that a lot of people don't necessarily see, but help things with like clean water, make sure toilets flush when they're supposed to, and the daily operations of everything going on. So lots of investments in infrastructure, but some cool amenities coming down the pipeline as well, and then like job opportunities. So if you're commuting up to DC, and maybe that's something you don't want to do anymore, there's job opportunities at Indian Head, in good paying jobs. So we're excited about that.
That's incredible. Indian has really kind of sprouted.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Lots of partnership, kind of working with businesses and different organizations to kind of revitalize Indian Head and take off some of the plywood that used to be on like old Eli Shopping Center and Safeway, A&P. And now those are like centers for employment and jobs, and we're super excited, and they're contributing to the economy. Local people are getting the jobs, and it's great news. So we're happy.
Good. Yeah, I grew up here, and it definitely, from like when I was a little kid, to seeing all the businesses to like everything all of a sudden being like empty and abandoned.
Yeah.
And now it's coming back to life. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's I always say like the economic development world was like complete stranger to like what I knew and when I kind of first took office, but really it's about working with people at the end of the day, and it's like, hey, how can I work with different organizations that have these goals of in their outlines and their missions for how they want to grow. How can we attract them to Indian Head and be more friendly and locate them in. So over the time, it's kind of morphed into this thing, and it helped us bring grocery store, coffee shop.
We haven't had a grocery store here in forever, I feel like.
Yeah, since the 90s. So Oasis was like the first one, since the 90s. And super convenient. Of course, I live in town. Duh. But it's one of those things where it's like I can now shop for groceries and fresh food, fruits and meats, and folks that have like a lack of access to transportation that live within town, like they can walk to a grocery store now. So they're getting their needs met as well. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I wish Ninja Moy had more of that stuff. No offense to the small store. I love you, Ninja Moy store, but we need a grocery store down there too. Okay, so what upcoming events are happening in Indian Head?
Yeah, so super excited. May 3rd is the Lackey Champions Parade.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm praying to God that I can make it because I want to photograph the podcast, and I'm like, all right, God, please make this happen. I'm so excited for that.
So we're super excited. A lot of the Western Charles County like fire departments are going to be involved, so we reach out to all of them. So they have responded back and very positively. Want to kind of celebrate these athletes. So we'll be celebrating, the individual state champions and the state championship basketball team.
Awesome. I know. I'm so proud of them.
So super excited for that. Because you photograph all of them. These kids work so hard.
Oh my God.
And it's not just what they do kind of on game day and stuff that everyone sees. It's the, it's the weight room, throughout the whole year to make sure that they're ready for season. It's the working nonstop in practice. It's the going home and studying and making sure that, their grades are good too. And it's no happenstance that a lot of these very successful, student athletes are also great students.
Yeah.
And, Lush does a phenomenal job as AD.
We love Lush.
And, as a coach, it's just so nice to see, this Lackey community kind of surround, these athletes and really support them. Not only like where their kids, are, athletes, but, seeing parents from other sports go out and support the other sports. That's what makes Lackey unique.
Right? We're definitely unique.
It's so community based that when Lackey basketball won the state championship, I immediately texted Lush. Was like parade? Question mark! Exclamation mark! Yes. He goes, yeah. We wanted to wait till all the sports were kind of done and everything to be able to celebrate, everyone, and then got some more state champions and that sort of stuff. So we're super excited to get to celebrate them and get to celebrate the school. So.
Yeah, I honestly think the parade, when I saw them, like, yes. So, it's just for me too, like on multiple levels, it's just so amazing. Because, like you said, the athletes are like, they're not just athletes, they're straight A students. Like, they're huge role models in the community. Like, I look up to them, my kids look up to them, like, we all look up to them. And it's like, I definitely think that it's just a phenomenal way to cherish the moment and just acknowledge because they worked their butts off, like on the court, behind the scene, everything. So I definitely think doing a parade is phenomenal.
And it's a chance for the community to come out and celebrate them.
100%. And they need it. They deserve it because they work their butts off. And I think they're still doing interviews and podcasts and stuff like that. And Malik, oh my God, I love him. Like, he's like all-star everything. And it's just like, he's I've actually watched him for the last couple of years, basketball and football, all that kind of stuff. And he's just, they're all amazing kids.
Those kids are the definition of like hard work pays off,
100%. 100%.
And not relying solely on athletic talent. The kids at the school kind of gel well together.
Yes.
And that is super important when you're in a team environment.
100%.
It's funny how close they are because they have their own little. Each team has their own little things. But yeah, celebrate them is one thing that we're doing on May 3rd that we're super excited about. And then we have like events kind of throughout the summer, like Arts Fest, Charles County Arts Alliance coming up. In a couple different kind of festivals and events that if you check out the town's website, townofindianhead.org. It'll be on the events calendar, and we'll post as they get sooner on Facebook. But make sure you're following so you can enjoy all the fun that's happening throughout town.
For sure. Definitely that parade. Do not miss that parade, y'all. All right, so my next question is, what made you get involved in local government?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Indian Head. Born, over on Potomac Avenue, a couple blocks from town hall.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of started with, me. I used to walk to Indian Elementary School every day when I was in school. So I used to pass town hall. Anyways, I stood at a crosswalk to cross the street to go to Indian Head, and cars weren't stopping. I think anyone in Indian Head probably has had this issue.
100%.
So I was like, what can I do about this? And, someone suggested me, write the mayor a letter. So, okay. So 10-year-old Brandon, writes up this letter to the mayor. And
it was Mayor Bowie at that time, wasn't it?
No, Shesley, Mayor Shesley.
Okay.
Dennis, yeah. So it was Dennis, Margie Posey, and I think it was Ed Rice or Randy Albright. It was the third council person at the time. And that was awesome. They, invited me to town meeting to, read my letter during citizens' comments.
Nice.
And that was cool. So then I kind of like waited around and was like, well, there's still no like crosswalk signage at the time. And I went back the following month and then followed up. And I was like, so what are you guys doing based on the concern that I addressed last month? And it was
average
like
10-year-old, no big deal.
Yeah. So they I give the council at the time all the credit in the world. They were wonderful. One of the coolest experiences is Miss Margie. She gave me like a Town of Indian Head seal lapel pen. It was like great job following up. Like we're gonna take care of it. And
That's
they did.
awesome.
So like those little signs that say stop for pedestrian within the crosswalk. That was from when I was 10.
That's awesome.
So it was a little thing to create more visibility. As elected officials, we're like, yeah, we want to promote more walkable communities and that sort of stuff, especially kind of on top of the hill in Indian Head, and try to spread it, all throughout. But that's kind of what got me involved when I was 10. I kind of got hooked on wanting to help the community and the impact that I could have.
That's so cool.
Just by attending meetings and expressing, concerns that a lot of people had. So,
the smallest thing could be the biggest thing at the same time too. It's amazing.
So I started going to town meetings, started going to budget meetings, started going just your average elementary, middle, and high schooler does. And
just your normal day,
got hooked and then decided to run for town council. Ended up getting elected mayor. And the rest is history.
Because you're our youngest mayor too, aren't you?
Yeah, so I was elected at 19.
Yeah.
Now it's been 11 years.
I was about to ask you how long you've been mayor. I didn't want to do the back of my head.
Yeah, 11 years this May. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because Cabal's. I'm not going to talk about how old my kid is because that just makes me feel old again.
Yeah. But no, it's been so much fun to be able to kind of like do things for my hometown and
that's incredible.
Make progress, and for me, it's like it's if I can make this place a better place than it was when I was growing up, and for the next generation. That's what's most important. Like when I was a teenager, there wasn't a whole lot of place to get a summer job. And so trying to give that to the next generation, or like the Boys and Girls Club, that's opened up down Bluefield.
Okay.
That helps. I think there are now 80 some odd members of the Boys and Girls Club. Kids from the local community that the kids have their own space. They have like the pool table, foosball, art room, where the old PNC Bank was.
So it's right there. Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah, so they have like
really, I didn't know that.
A small room with computers in it, so they can do some work. A little STEM center that was sponsored by the Cal Ripken Foundation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, if you haven't checked it out, definitely go take a look. It's a space that kids in the community can call their own.
Yeah.
And some folks are like, well, I never see cars down there. I was like, well, that's because kids in the neighborhood don't drive.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably like bikes and scooters and like feet go that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And it's more geared right now towards like elementary age kids. But they're talking about in the future expanding to kind of open it up to as they potentially get more space and grow. They'll grow with kind of the middle school and the high schoolers too. So
that's cool.
Just providing space for, like I said, the next generation.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the ribbon cutting link for that. I don't think I was able to make it for that, but I saw that I totally just forgot. I don't ever come to Indian Head. Love y'all. I never come down here. But yeah, I saw that. I'm like, that is so cool. And I'm glad you brought that up again because I totally forgot about that. That is definitely every kid needs a safe spot, especially in Indian Head, to go and have fun and hang out. That's pretty cool.
And they do summer camps too, so they do some really fun stuff over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the space just gives them that dedicated space that they can call their own.
That's really good.
And I think that's something that I wish I would have had as a kid. So Miss Joy with Southern Maryland Boys and Girls Club came to us. We were like, oh yeah, we'll find a space,
that's
and we did.
Maybe we get some time. I mean, obviously not today, but maybe like more towards like then spring or summer. Maybe if you're available, we could do another podcast down there to try to get more. Sorry, or like to it. See, told you bloopers.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is not one of my kids. I didn't see that. We'll bring it up in a second. But yeah, I would love to. I mean, if you have the time to, I'd love to do a podcast on that too, just to promote everything down there.
Yeah, and get more more kids involved, more families involved with the center. The more community involvement, I think the faster they're able to grow and kind of organically grow too. So
yeah, I mean, if you're down for it, I'd absolutely love to do a podcast down there and bring some light to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll introduce you to Miss Joy, and we can kind of show people what it looks like too.
100%. I think that'd be great. I'll have to have somebody else book my thing because I can't make my tripod walk, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
What are details? I do want to bring up something real quick. Obviously you're the mayor, the main head, and you've been the mayor for 11 years. So full circle. One of my first, political interviews was with Mayor James. I think last week or the week before that. And in that interview, we talked about when she did the mayor's speeches and stuff with the fourth graders. And in that, I did bring to light a little bit about my oldest kid, who's now going on 20, which we're not going to acknowledge. But when he went to Indian Head, when he was 4 years old, he obviously partook, right?
Sure.
He was involved in. Yeah, stay in school, kids. He was involved in the If I Was Mayor speech, and one of the most, I think, memorable moments of him writing that speech. Not just the fact that we had the former mayor, Mayor Bowie, who's pretty much like family to us, kind of going with him too, but we had the honor of this man right here, Mayor Paulin, Brandon Paulin, sit down with him and just kind of, just be an audience for him as well and give feedback and whatnot. So full circle about that. Yeah. And the fact that he's been mayor for 11 years, my kid's going on 20, whatever. It's all good. I'm not that old. Yeah, I'm still 29.
Those If I Were Mayor essays that come in from the fourth graders are genuinely one of the best parts of the job, right?
Yeah.
Because you're getting, very fourth graders are very honest.
Yes, they are.
So they're like, I want this, and we need this, and you need that. And then getting to talk through with the fourth graders, well, okay, that's good. How can we implement that? What are these things? There were many times early on that, some fourth graders have asked for a center or a Boys and Girls Club or a rec center. And to be able to implement some of the stuff and recommendations out of those letters, it's you don't have to be a full-grown adult to be able to have an impact in your community. Kind of my story, shows you that.
So Jefferson, year old.
Yeah. But it's kids can get involved, have a say in their community, and make a positive impact. So, hey kids, make sure you write your mayor, your local elected officials, because we listen and we'll read and kind of what you're going through and find ways to make things work.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible. So the last question I have for you is, you're the head coach for Lackey's wrestling team.
Yep.
What made you get involved with coaching?
Yeah, so I wrestled kind of all through high school. I wrestled pre-high school with the program Junior Charters. It's now JC Brawlers.
Okay.
Kind of like a junior league team that practiced at Lackey. So just a love for the sport of wrestling. And, I had thought about wanting to get into coaching for years and years. It was actually Mr. Connolly. He was a vice principal at Lackey when I went there. Okay. And then he became principal at St. Charles. Okay. Gave me a call a couple months before the start of the wrestling season and said, hey, I'm over at St. Charles now. We, need a head coach. Would you be willing to do it? And I was like, I don't know much about St. Charles, but, I'll go ahead and I'll coach. And the kids over there who are now full-fledged adults, I'll tell a funny story here in a second. But, they kind of were like, oh, okay, cool. Developed great relationships with them. Lots of good kids, lots of good wrestlers out of that group. Yeah. And so I coached over at St. Charles for 2 years. Funny enough, one of the wrestlers that I coached over there, Taylor Stone, she is now the head coach at St. Charles. So,
nice.
Being able to kind of pour my love of the sport into them, and then seeing one of them, give back to the program is just one of the most rewarding experiences that I think it's I made you love the sport as much as me that you felt the need to get into coaching. And then in 2019, the opening for Lackey opened up, and my Lackey family is my home. That wrestling room is where I I literally grew up.
Oh, wow.
And I learned like so many different lessons. I started wrestling when I was in kindergarten.
Nice.
In that room.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because that's where the junior charters practice.
Yeah.
With a lot of names like Jim Pickle and Russell Cargill and all those like Glenn Jones era wrestlers. Coach Batchelor.
Yeah.
All of those kids, or all of those Glenn Jones kids that grew up and then spread their love for the sport.
Yeah.
That's who coached me growing up, and I had some injuries in high school, and probably athletic wise didn't go the way I wanted
I think we all did.
Going through high school and going through those injuries, but still getting to help my teammates out. I think put that in me. So took over Lackey's program in 2019 with a very senior laden team, and coached them through that, and then like COVID hit, and wrestling stopped, and so it's like, okay, restart everything, and that would be like the freshman year of like BB and
oh my God.
So those kids in that group, I mean, like BB, natural born leader, right?
Absolutely.
And I could see it as a freshman, like just this kid coming in, just like had that fire, had that intensity, and there was a really good group of kids there. And so I've been coaching since then, and they've seen a lot of success on the mat. Not because of me, because of the hard work that they continue to get in.
Well, it is because of you too. I mean, it's everything. It takes a village. It's everybody, but don't clear yourself short. I got pictures to prove it, dude.
Sure. But the kids are so close and tight knit with each other. That they've done a lot. And quite frankly, it's like when a couple kids are like, hey, let's go over to Wolfpack for practice, and let's get some extra work in, and they're all carpooling over there, and you're like, that's awesome to see, because they all want to improve. They'd do anything for their teammates, and those bonds will stay with them forever, far past their wrestling careers. But it's
I've definitely seen that outside too. Like I was in Rays, when you get stuff, whatever, and I walked in, like there's everybody, like there's BB and Malik and all that. And they're like, Miss Hope, hi Miss Hope. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I've only ever seen them in Malachi, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, what's this? It's like, 20 of them come up and give me hugs, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, go back to all your stuff, whatever. And then they left, and everyone was like, so that? I'm like, those are my kids. Like, I love them so much. They're just phenomenal human beings. Yeah, and like I said, and I keep reiterating this, that Lackey family is special.
It's really strong, especially amongst the kids that participate in athletics and go above and beyond for their school. And it's just you don't see that a whole lot of places. And it's cool to have a little bit of that West Side vibe.
Yeah, I definitely see. I got proof that he loves, he's got passion and dedication for wrestling, because obviously I photograph stuff like too, and obviously I photograph Lackey, our homies and stuff like that. But I've also photographed the championships.
Yeah.
So the photos that I've seen, and part of my job is photography. I just lost my sticker. Anyway, part of my job, that I put on myself as photographer is not just capturing the whole story, but capturing the intimate details too of the players and the coaches and the parents and all that kind of stuff. So I've definitely zoned in, thinking out long because I don't want to be in your face doing this. Yeah. But I've definitely captured some moments of you on the almost go stuff like that, and it's pure passion and dedication. And you can see I've done it with all the coaches, but I know you personally. I don't know any of them personally, but yeah, I can definitely see the dedication and the passion and the love that you have for the sport and for the athletes. And you've never been harsh. It's always been a constructive criticism and just hard love and encouragement, and that speaks volumes. It really does.
Yeah, and it's I always say this. It's easy to coach a kid when they're doing the right things.
Yeah.
When they're practicing hard, when they take care of their grades and they do all of the right things academically. I tell the kids all the time, I don't care if you're, the fourth kid back in a weight class on JV or whether, you're a state champion.
Yeah.
If you give me everything that you have, I will coach you with everything that I have.
And I've seen it too, because even this past championship, obviously some wrestler didn't go as we wanted to, but I zoned in on Because I mean, when I'm out and about, I try to vibe off of other people too. You know, I try to like follow God's guidance on how I'm going to be, but also vibe off of the emotions of everybody else too. And that one loss, I know you know what I'm talking about. You know, it was hard for all of us, you know, for that. But I saw how you were with that individual, and just like you couldn't tell you were disappointed. I mean, you could, but you couldn't.
No,
I mean, you were still extremely proud. I'm gonna start crying. Oh my, oh, I'm emotional with this. But like, you know, I could tell that you know you're still super proud. You didn't. 'Cause I mean, I saw some coaches. I'm not gonna name any names or a place, but I've seen some coaches that really rip into the athletes afterwards, and it tears them down. Like, well, that's what they lost.
Right.
Because they don't have like they're scared. You know what I mean? They can't function properly.
And in my mind, you know, it's like I can't ever get into an athlete that's doing everything right.
Yeah.
You know, when they're an honor roll student and they're
all mess up,
they're doing the extra practices and the extra work and they're genuinely working hard like and loss happens, you know, and that is a beautiful part about wrestling. Is it's not easy. Athletic ability doesn't inherently put you like in a better position in this sport than other things. Like I've seen phenomenal athletes come in their first year wrestling and it's like, wow, my record's 9-31. Like what in the world? Like so the sport genuinely forces you to have to do the right things. And when a kid does the right things and they end up losing, that's part of life, right? I'm here to lift you up, to support you, to make sure next time you reach this stage and reach this level that you continue to do those right things. But we always here to support those kids. And with the group of kids we have, like I'll say like 99% of them do the right things. So I can't ever light into them. Once and they already feel it.
Yeah, they do.
They already feel it.
It's heartbreaking
when they put in that work, and then they get bounced out of the state tournament, and they're already hard on themselves. I don't need to come in and add another layer on.
And that's the thing that I love too, because I mean, because you see the disappointment and the heartbreaks. I mean, those kids aren't there just because for funsies. They're there to dominate. They're there to prove themselves. They're there because they've worked their butts off they've earned that spot. And the one individual, we know that. He isn't just wrestling out there for himself. He's wrestling for God. He makes it well known, and he's one of my biggest inspirations for that too. I love how he's with that, and and like I saw, the heartbreak in his eyes and in your eyes, when he was losing and when he lost, but at the same time too, it's like it's still a victory because I saw how you acted, with him afterwards. And it was a beautiful thing because it wasn't like, oh my God, you're terrible, blah, blah. And I've seen that happen with coaches before. And it's heartbreaking. But you were just like, you did a good job, and I'm just like, man, like that's incredible because I mean, even further down the mat, I saw that in other coaches too. And I'm just like, okay, that's not good sportsmanship, but you guys were definitely, very still encouraging and, work through the pain and stuff like that. And to me, I tell, especially the Lackey kids all the time that, even if they lose, they're still champions because they still work their butts off to get there. You know what I mean? And sportsmanship is a huge thing. You know what I mean? As long as you take it with grace and you learn from it and you continue working for it, you don't go to tantrum, you're still a winner. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, what did you lose? Right. A couple numbers, but you didn't lose anything. You're still learning. You're still gaining. And that's just really how God guided the match, But I definitely saw it. I found it interesting.
And my dad always used to tell me when I was growing up, he's like, nothing worth having is ever easy. Right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And
that's for sure.
And he goes, and there are going to be opportunities in your life where you can take shortcuts and maybe get a leg up or do these different things. He's like, but he goes, stay doing the right things. Stay true to yourself, doing the right things. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to live with the decisions you made, whether you win, lose, whatever. And that's something I've really carried throughout my life.
Me too, especially these days.
And it's So sometimes, and mentioning that one athlete, who led, the prayers,
I love.
back in
Oh
the
my
beginning of the
God.
days.
I just don't know if I can mention. I didn't have his permission when I talk about stuff. I don't want to mention his name. Be respectful.
So we'll respect the privacy. But just mentioning kind of like that what that particular athlete did that weekend outside of the wrestling was one of the most beautiful kind of like ways that you could really show your faith and show your trust in God. It was
I was so bummed I couldn't be there too, because I was like, because I was there for, but I had to wait until later on to get there.
Yeah.
Family situations, whatever. But I was like, man, oh man, because I saw it, I'm like, this is what it's about. Because he is true when he says he does it for God. He is not joking.
Yeah.
Like he is like full faith, and I'm just like, cause I even told him like, you are my biggest inspiration when it comes to stuff like this, because like I definitely tried to like power prayer, all kind of stuff, and I do pray, but I mean like we obviously know there's like this whole thing about prayer in school, stuff like that, and we do pray in school. Sure. Like we've seen the baseball teams and the wrestling teams walk this, everyone does do it, but I mean seeing him do it on such a public platform in such a public space on a public event, it wasn't just a normal high school game or event.
State championship.
It was huge.
It was awesome.
And the fact that he just took power, and I don't know what he had to do to get to that point. Like, I don't know if he had to get permission or whatever, or if he just said, hey, we're going to do this, and he just did it. Yeah. But, I mean, I just think it's actually incredible. And I saw the video and I shared it, and I'm just like, I pray to God this goes viral.
Yeah. It
deserves to go viral, and he and his faith deserve to go viral.
Yeah. He led by faith, and, God willing, if someone was saved out of that action, like that's more impactful in my mind than any of the wrestling, than any of that. So,
and I do think that somebody was saved, because I don't know if you noticed afterwards, but I don't remember what match. I think it was well after that one. One of the wrestlers that was on the mat that I was photographing, he had a medical emergency after the thing or whatever. And he kind of took himself underneath like the tables and stuff because he didn't want to be seen. So I had to go get one of the trainers. I'm like, I don't think he's okay. But then like all of a sudden you just see people, individually like praying over him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like I am sure he's fine, stuff like that. But definitely like the power prayer that that individual did, it covered everybody in prayer. Power prayer is powerful.
Absolutely.
Even for those who don't believe, it's still there's still somehow, some way thinking of, you know what I mean? There's still something up there if they don't want to admit it, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's it's a beautiful thing to see in action. And that was one of the most impactful things that I think I saw from that weekend. And it just goes to show you about that person. But
that's what I'm saying. Even though he lost the match, he's still a winner.
Yeah,
he's still champion.
Yeah. And that's that's what we try to instill as coaches is the on court, on the mat, on the field stuff is just as important as the off the field stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely,
like you have athletics, you have academics, and then quite frankly you have that character and culture. Generally, your better athletes are the ones that put all three of it together.
Like back to BB, like funny story with him. Like no lie, when I first met him, okay, so I was photographing, I think it was girls soccer, and he was just going around around the track, whatever, just making the ball go back, stuff like that. We're just chit chatting about school and about life and about photography and about this and everything, and then somebody was like, hey, you gotta go get ready, for training, whatever. And I asked him, I was training for, I didn't know who he was. I just met him. I didn't even know what his name was. And I was training for us. What do you do? He's like, well, I've got football and stuff. I'm like, so wait, I said, do you teach here? He's like, no, I'm a student. I'm like, how old are you? And he told me how old he was. I'm like, dude, like, how are you so mature? Like, how are you so just like, I'm thinking I'm talking to a teacher, like a full-grown adult. And I'm just like, why? Like, how are you so mature and like so just like
natural?
We need more people like you do.
Yeah, natural born leader.
100%.
That just, I mean, people gravitate towards him.
I think everybody does. Everybody loves him. He's just phenomenal. Yeah. He's also when he went black, he was definitely one of the biggest supporters for photography, stuff like that too. So he's just a phenomenal.
Just such a great, well-rounded. I can't call him kid, young man.
I'm gonna call him a kid.
I know. But what a great dude. And I saw it when he was a freshman, and I was like, he's gonna be special. And he thought he stunk at wrestling, but I was like, dude, you don't even know, like, you're gonna be great at this because he did all the right things.
Yeah,
he did all the right things.
He just dominates wherever he goes, just like the other athletes. They just dominate wherever they go. It's like when you got it, when God provides you the talent and you use it properly and in the right way, and then you're strong on your feet, like you're gonna have your errors, but man, powerful role model to the T.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think with baseball too. I actually when my whole family came to one of the baseball games, and I had my middle kid down there on the field or whatnot in the dugout, just to get some water real quick. And he took my other camera and he was taking pictures, whatever. And of course, Brandon's always like, I love your pictures, all that kind of stuff. And he did for me as a mom. I thought it was the cutest thing because Ryan was taking pictures, whatever, and Baby was like, hey, let me see your photos. And I was in ear distance, obviously, but I was letting him have a moment, and Baby literally looked at him. He's like, "Man, you're better than your mom is." And Ryan came over. He said, "Mom," he's like, "He just told me better than you are." I'm like, "Who told you that?" And he's like, right there. I'm like, "Well, I guess he ain't lying because that's Brandon or whatever." And I looked at Brandon because and then he went off with my camera or whatever. I looked at Brandon. I was like, "Man, thank you so much." He's like, "I wasn't lying." I'm like, "I'm not saying you are lying. I'm saying thank you for that. I really appreciate that. You know what I mean?" And he's like, "Your kid's a really good kid." I'm like, Thank you. I really appreciate that. And then, of course, when I posted pictures, I gave Ryan the photo credit for it. But I'm like, I said that's incredible because he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't have to take time to give my son a highlight and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But to see the smile on his face, I'm just like, man, that's incredible. That was awesome. Yeah. So he's definitely an awesome person.
Absolutely.
But is there anything else you want to add to this or?
No, I mean, it was a good conversation. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. You're being the mayor of Indian Head, very, very, very busy man. So I try to say I'm busy too. I mean, I am, but this is the man right here.
Yeah, mayor, coach, program manager, you name it.
Husband, everything else.
Yeah, homeowner. It's crazy. But no, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for
to come here and interview, and hopefully, we gave some cool updates. And
I definitely think Indian Head needs to have some good because we moved out of Indian Head about 5 years ago, and I don't really come down here often, but I definitely wanted to highlight Indian Head, everything you've done, because I personally know the former mayor, Mayor Bowie, he was basically like a father to me. And and I've seen the work that you've done over the years, stuff like that. And I know you both professionally and personally, I guess you could say too, with everything. And it's just definitely just seeing, and as young as you are, achieving everything you've achieved. When I've seen other people other places not.
Yeah. And
just the fact that how mature you are and just how you've handled everything from young age. Don't hate me for saying that. But I've seen how you came in here. And just from the beginning of when we met, it was just, pure, passion, dedication for Indian Head and always wanted to make it grow. You weren't just a little kid looking for a side job. You were a professional at a young age coming in and really trying to make a difference. And that's mind-blowing to me. Yeah. I think that's incredible. You definitely are one of the biggest role models in this area. You probably won't ever admit that to yourself, but but you definitely are. And that's why, I think the athletes that you coach and the community that you lead is so incredibly powerful because you do lead, by your faith and your love and your passion and dedication. And I wanted to highlight that, for many different reasons. So thank you for being an inspiration. Thank you for being a role model. Thank you for being, just the person you are. Because it really is a true honor. I know I've known you for years, stuff like that, but you take a moment to come on my podcast. It really is an honor. It really, truly is. So thank you because you could have said, sorry, I'm too busy and going about your day. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And, I always say I'm just a normal person, certainly. I genuinely am. I'm an Indian Head kid, born and raised, that just wants to serve, his community. And it's. And you're
so down to earth with everything too. It has not gotten to your head one bit. You're still very down to earth. Which
my family humbles me. They're like, yeah, don't get too carried away, big head. No, that's my brothers. But it really is I love this place.
And you have to with everything you do.
And love to give back. And and very similarly, I think a lot of folks that I look in the past when I was growing up, Randy Albright, Margie Posey, and Warren Bowie, and those folks were just Indian Head residents that wanted to give back to their community. Didn't have to take the time to talk to me, when I was a kid, but did.
Very down-to-earth people too.
It made an impact on me, as a kid that I was like, well, when I grow up, I want to serve my community like that.
You've got some amazing role models, and you're definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's to be compared to those folks.
I'll compare you to Warren Bowie for sure, because I've known him since I was 2. My family had known him obviously longer, but Warren Bowie was definitely, I've only ever known him as Mayor Bowie, up until he, retired, but definitely a tremendous down-to-earth man, and, even though he's obviously not my father, but, definitely a huge father figure to me and stuff like that, and I definitely can compare the two of you together, because, obviously you guys have your differences and stuff like that, but, both very, very down-to-earth, very, very loving, very, very passionate about your community, well-rounded, funny as all get up, but also very serious. You know what I mean? So there's, it is. Being compared to such an, iconic man like himself. It's true. You know what I mean? And it's
one great story about Mayor Bowie.
Yes, please tell me.
So when I first became mayor, we're going through, we're trying to reinvigorate things. How can we improve the business climate? What can we do? Warren, I think intentionally, would ask these challenging questions.
100%.
Just 100%, just to get me, thinking about, these different things that, I didn't have a lot of experience when I became mayor. But to get me thinking about, the different implications of, a million different things, because he had a wealth of knowledge and experience.
Oh my God,
And, at the time, I think I thought to myself, why does he keep, challenging me on these things? But I realized, later down the road that, those were questions probably for one, for me to learn, and then 2, from, his wealth of knowledge and experience that, helped me grow as an individual, helped the town, grow as a town, and, kind of looked at things from different viewpoints. So, I don't think I appreciated it as much at the time.
Yeah, we never do, I don't think.
But looking back on it, I'm like, man, I'm really happy that he did, because it made us think more.
Yeah, he was definitely an incredible human being. We miss him tremendously. But even his wife, Jean, she's, they've been like family to me since forever, before I was born and whatnot. Because my dad, was on the news, stuff like that, and they kind of met through my brother Eric, born in Indian and stuff like that. And because my brother Eric and their daughter Lauren, they all went to school together, which is how we all met. And so it's definitely that they are always going to have a huge part of my heart. And he definitely, growing up, he definitely, he'll tell you what's what.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's something anytime I had a question or something, or when my kids had a project in school, or I had a project or whatever, him and his family were our audience. For when Calvin did our mayor speech, he was the first person we met and stuff like that, and he'll tell you. He's always super sweet about it.
Yes, absolutely.
He's super sweet. You're never going to feel degraded when you're around him. Super sweet about it. But he'll tell you, maybe let your bits a little bit. Or no, it's good, something like that.
But that honest input, I think,
Oh my God, I wish more people had that.
So many people, I think, either, think it's validation or criticism.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no in between. When, you could say, hey, great job, however.
Yeah.
Right? And then, I think more people just coming with open heart, open mind into conversations. It doesn't have to be oh, I'm all supportive of you, or I'm all opposed to you.
Yeah.
There's a middle ground where constructive criticism. That's how growth happens.
Yes, exactly.
Warren always provided that for
100%.
Me in my early mayoral years, and it's it's awesome, because so many of the leaders of town passed, and of course, a lot of those people have transitioned, over the years. But still to me, they're role models.
Absolutely.
That I look back and be like, wow,
I just have his words in my head.
Warren, is challenging me and making me think through those issues, help grow me, and Margie supporting me when I was young with that little town that I still have, by the way. I still have that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It meant so much to me.
So it's little things in life that turn out to be huge things. You know what I mean?
Councilman Albright, I came back and served on the town council for a couple years. He supported me on my first mayoral run. He was like the first person to say, go out there and run. Like, I believe in you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's cool, because at 19, I wasn't really sure myself. Yeah.
So I was voting for you. I couldn't even vote because I don't typically live. I typically live in Indiana, but I was like, man, just go. You know?
So, it's all those, past town leaders that, help grow me into the person I am. And not just the people that served in elected office, but, also like, all the people that everyone remembers, seeing, Carrie at, C&D's, like, get your ice cream, all right, go away, or all those little things that, growing up in Indian Head, I enjoyed.
We're definitely a hidden gem, I think, to a lot of people, which is crazy, because, like, we have a base right there, like, right there.
Like 4,000 employees right there.
Yeah, and it's crazy, because, like even, when I'm, doing stuff like that or whatever, and, talk about, like, because, people want to know where my name came from, stuff like that. So I tell them about my brother Eric and all that kind of stuff, because that's literally what it is. And they're like, well, how did you get here? So I have to give the whole story of my dad being in the Navy base. I'm like, they're like, we have a Navy base here. I'm like, yes, it's all that is 210. It's
largest employer in the county.
It's like literally 210. Like, you can't go any further because it's the base. And but it is. I mean, Indian Head is as big as it's gotten, and as many things has grown. I still think it's a hidden gem. That
just still a super tight knit community.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be hidden. Like, it needs to be blasted. I mean, it's a beautiful, because you have done a phenomenal job. I mean, I know it's you and a whole committee and group across all kind of stuff. But I mean, like, through your years of being here, like, I mean, I'm honestly mind blown to see how it was when I was a little kid, to see how it was, growing up, and then to see how it is now. Like, it is phenomenal, like, the growth and the expansion and stuff like that. Because, I mean, I think when I was younger, we had what was it? Not Superfresh. Was it Superfresh?
Superfresh.
Yeah. And now, and then that was great, and then it died out or whatever. And then we've had all these different, vacancies, occupancies, all kind of stuff. And now it's like Indian Head is like another, like a sweeter version of La Plata, basically. We have all these little things you can walk to, and I think it's an adorable community with a lot of, exposure and a lot of growth and a lot of potential. And I think it's a phenomenal job. You and your crew. You and your peeps.
I say all the people that help out, they make it easy. Town staff does a phenomenal job, from public works that pick up trash and literally they do great. Town hall staff does wonderful. Town manager Ryan Hicks and the town council. But yeah, you're right. It takes a village.
It takes a village to raise a village.
It does. And it's been easy when that many people are willing to help out, and then you say, like, I'm open to help. Like, you can't do it alone. So that's the story of Indian Head.
All right.
It's a story of partnerships.
So. Short and sweet, but not really so short.
There you go. Exactly.
Well, thank you again for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Hope70. Let's talk, and I'll see you next one. Love y'all. God bless. Awkward 10-second pause.